If you're not familiar with this book, This Thing Called You, it's by Ernest Holmes. It is a beautiful, sweet read. Lots of nice comments in there that I think are great mantras. A lot of the concepts that I talk about today, but I'll use it in the meditation. So, who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? It can be said in different ways, right? Different perspectives. But how does that float around in your mind? Get any triggers or feelings from that? Because a lot of times when that comment is used, it's by a well-meaning caretaker, grandparent, parent, aunt, uncle, maybe even a sibling, some sort of authority figure, whether it's a teacher or whatever. And basically what they're telling you is to really think about what you're getting ready to do. Because you're getting too big for your britches, right? Or you ought not be thinking that way. But really, 9 times out of 10, there is nothing wrong with what you were thinking, doing, what your opinion was. But I can almost bet you probably triggered something in them and made them feel uncomfortable. But that's how we get where we are. Can you imagine being Evel Knievel's mom? Because honestly, you know that kid was doing some stuff in his front yard that is going to scare anybody, okay? But he wouldn't have been who he was if he hadn't. So when that comment is used, a lot of times it's to set limits, boundaries, and to rein people in. But the problem with that is it a lot of times comes from a place of fear. There's so many people acting from a place of fear. And that fear is not real. I know it feels so real because it seems like it's so emotional, but it's truly a product of our thoughts that we create. Danger is real. If you're on a safari and you and the lion are out there in the prairie by yourselves and he's licking his lips, you're in danger, okay? If you're being held up by gunpoint, that's dangerous. If you're in an abusive relationship, that's dangerous. But fear is when you run up the steps really, really fast because something's going to grab you. Okay? Fear is when we jump on the bed from a foot away because there could be something under there. Anybody sleep with their closet open? No. When you were a kid, anybody convinced themselves that as long as the covers were all the way up to your neck, nothing could get to you? Now I sleep with my foot hanging out. Now, I know these are child things, but they still end up being things in our adult life sometimes that we ignore, avoid, cover up, and tell ourselves stories about. So Ralph Waldo Emerson says, to be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. Just be yourself. No matter what anybody else is fearing or concerned, you be yourself. And the one thing I want you to hold on to about that might help is the spark in you, the fire in you, the light in you cannot ever be damaged, can never be wounded, can never be less than, no matter what happens in the outside world. And it's about us learning how to believe and have faith in our hearts and listen to our own hearts rather than what other people are trying to tell us. And stop underestimating ourselves and putting our own limitations. So my second one was, who do you think you are? Because at a blurry age or stage, what a lot of times happens is we take over where they left off. We got that little person on our shoulder asking us questions or the voices in our heads. What do you think some of the most powerful words there are in the universe, it's how we speak to ourselves, how we talk to ourselves, how we communicate, the words that we use. Really be conscious of that, because that little guy or the voices in our heads are the ones that continue to make us self-doubt or second guess or put on the brakes or even do things that we really want to do. Because then we start asking ourselves, well, who am I to think I can graduate from college? Who am I to go to an Ivy League college? Who's ever going to read a book I write? How am I ever going to accomplish this? How, or what I can't. We end up doing the same thing and being that voice that sets our own limitations and our own boundaries. What are you supposed to be? What are you supposed to be doing or thinking? So Albert Einstein says the person who follows the crowd will usually go no further than the crowd. The person who walks alone is likely to find himself in places no one else has ever been before. Now that takes courage and that takes bravery, because it's about acting outside of the box that we've been told to be in, and then we then put ourselves in. And it means, guess what? Not everybody they might not like you, they might not agree, they might have a different opinion. And guess what? That is okay. Because the thing of it is we all mature and evolve at different times, in different places, in different ways. So let's say you had an experience when you were 20 that just woke you up about something and you're like, oh my God, I got it now. And then it makes life easier when you start applying it. Well, just because somebody else hasn't had that same experience, maybe they don't have it until they're 30, does not make anything right or wrong. In fact, that's what makes life fun and interesting, to know that we're different, but we can still love each other. We don't have to agree, and we can still love each other, right? Okay. So, I believe really strongly that God did not go through all the trouble of creating everything that's been created, including us, this amazing spiritual being we are, as well as the wildly human beings that we are, to then allow us to listen to nothing but the enemy in our head or on our shoulder. It's up to us where we put our energy. We were not sent here to suffer. We sometimes cause ourselves to suffer by the way that we set limitations and boundaries. So let's decide right here, right now, to stop using our energy in fear that's not real, in worry that gets us nowhere. We want to put it into creativity, manifestation, love, light, and healing. Believe in your heart, you were not sent here to live halfway. You were not sent here to live restrained. You were not sent here to be contained. You were here to live life to the fullest, with love and light and passion and purpose and magic and miracles. But until you take the time and do the work to change that thinking, you are going to continue to recycle your experiences. Anything ever come out of your mouth like, why does that have to keep happening to me? Nobody's ever said that, right? I know I haven't. True freedom comes when we realize we are caged by our own thoughts. So, my last one is, who do you think you are? You are actually in one of the greatest places you could ever be. You are here to witness and be a part of and participate in one of the greatest events on earth. The greatest movies, shows, whatever. You are here to witness the rising of the consciousness. You're here to be a part of that. And thank God we all don't have to be in third world countries being first responders. Whew, not for me either, I'm sorry. However, think of it in the sense that we're all grains of sand, but together we make a beach. Love the beach. We're all cups of water that create the ocean. Alone, we have immense, amazing personal power, especially when we work on ourselves and deal with whatever it is that, might be lingering in our head. But together, holy mackerel. That's why we pray together. That's why we hold space together. That's why we do what we do here. Because when we're together, we are massively powerful. We are connected. Ram Dass says, I help people as a way to work on myself. And I work on myself as a way to help people. To me, he says, that's what the emerging game is all about. And think about nature. A tree does not eat its own fruit, nuts, or berries, does it? A river doesn't drink its own water. It all actually works together to feed each other, and that means symbolically as well. And that's what we do. Everything we do is for ourselves, and in the long run, for everybody. So the law of life is the law of love, because love always wins, no matter what. I don't care how bleak or how bad it seems. Love is the highest truth. It heals, it uplifts, it builds, it expands, it liberates, it unites. Do we not need some leaders that get that? So Marianne Williamson says, any thought of love uplifts the vibration of the universe. Any thought. Any thought. I was sitting out having tea one day with one of my friends, and there was a robin nest. And we sat there and talked for several hours. And do you know those robins just worked tirelessly the entire time to feed those babies? Now, thank goodness they don't have babies 365 or anything, but they worked really tirelessly. And I know we do though, don't we? But yeah, it was just interesting to me because I just had the nicest, warmest feeling. I loved it. The positive feelings, every little positive thing. I know I've told you guys this before. Every time I go out and collect my eggs from my chickens, I thank them. I thank the universe, I thank nature. Good thing I live out in the middle of nowhere. But seriously, we are vibrational, energetic frequency. We are love. If you ever want to know who you really are, that's exactly what you are. You are love. And do not limit your impact, because you have no idea the effect that you have on people around you. You have no idea how bad that person needed the smile that you shared with them. You have no idea how much that act of kindness might have actually changed somebody's whole life. Did you guys hear the story about where the boy was actually thinking about, ending his life, and he's walking home with all of his books, and another student drove by and thought, well, that's a lot of books to carry, I'm going to give him a ride. That changed that course in that boy's life. Don't ever underestimate the impact that you can have. The person that needed that long hug, that deep talk, you have no idea the impact that you can have on people in so many ways, because you are love. Don't wait. Don't be embarrassed. Don't be afraid. Yes, there's going to be people in the grocery store that when I say stuff to them and they're like, okay. But you know what? 2 lanes over, they're smiling. And they weren't before I, said whatever I said. But yeah, it is so much more than what we think. Be who you are meant to be. Namaste.